October 23rd, 2019. A night like any other for 19-year-old Aniah Blanchard, a college student in Auburn, Alabama. After visiting her brother, she was on her way back to her apartment, a familiar, short drive. At 11:09 p.m., a simple text message sent to her roommate. "Yeah, almost there." A routine confirmation, a sign she was just minutes away from being home, safe. But those minutes would stretch into hours, then days, then weeks of agonizing uncertainty. Aniah would never arrive back at her apartment that night. The last confirmed sighting of her, a stop at a Chevron gas station. This mundane errand became the epicenter of a terrifying mystery, leaving behind a cryptic final message and a question that haunted a nation. What truly happened to Aniah Blanchard after she sent that last text? Before we delve into the details of this case, please be advised that this video discusses the kidnapping and murder of Aniah Blanchard. It contains details of violence and death that may be disturbing. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. We approach this case with the utmost respect for Aniah and her grieving family. Who was Aniah Blanchard? To understand the depth of this tragedy, we must first understand the vibrant young woman whose life was so brutally cut short. Aniah Haley Blanchard was born on June 22, 2000. She was originally from Homewood, Alabama, a place where she was deeply rooted and loved. Her family described her as a happy, loving, and giving person who always put others before herself. She was the cherished daughter of Elijah Blanchard, a businessman from Birmingham, and Angela Haley Harris, a registered nurse. Aniah had a close relationship with both of her parents and their respective spouses. Her mother is married to UFC heavyweight fighter Walt Harris, who would later play a significant role in bringing national attention to her disappearance. Aniah's father, Elijah, described her as his only daughter, his last-born, his everything, a piece of him gone forever. He still remembers her voice and laughter, memories that bring both strength and immeasurable pain. Aniah was a student at Southern Union State Community College, diligently pursuing her dream of working with young children. She was studying early childhood education and had plans to transfer to Auburn University, a goal she was actively working towards. Beyond her studies, Aniah was an athlete, a dedicated softball player, a testament to her commitment and teamwork. Her friend and roommate, Sarah O'Brien, painted a picture of a young woman with a bright spirit, but also a heartbreaking vulnerability. Sarah revealed that Aniah had a significant fear of being kidnapped or murdered. She would check every room upon entering her home, and even had nightmares about it happening to her. This adds a tragic layer of irony to the fate that would befall her. Aniah was a young woman with dreams, a loving family, and a life full of promise, all of which would be irrevocably altered on that October night. On the evening of October 23rd, 2019, Aniah had been in Auburn, visiting her brother, Elijah. After spending time with him, she began the short drive back to her apartment. The established timeline from this point onwards, though brief, is critical. Surveillance video from the Chevron gas station on South College Street in Auburn captured Aniah entering the store just after 11:20 p.m. She was seen purchasing a bag of potato chips, a simple, mundane act that would horrifyingly be one of her last moments of freedom. This footage is the last confirmed visual record of Aniah alone and seemingly safe. The next pieces of the puzzle come from her phone. Her text messages with her roommate Sarah provide a narrow window into what might have happened. At 11:09 p.m., Aniah texts, "Yeah," indicating she's nearing home. But just over 30 minutes later, at 11:40 p.m., a puzzling message arrives. She tells Sarah she is with a man named Eric, whom she had just met. This sudden change in her plans and the detail of being with a stranger immediately struck her roommate and family as uncharacteristic and deeply concerning. What prompted this message? Was Eric a real person she willingly met? Or was this message sent under duress? A subtle cry for help disguised as a casual update? The ambiguity surrounding this text is one of the many haunting aspects of this case. The digital trail ends abruptly. Aniah's phone activity ceased completely at 11:47 p.m. Investigators were able to trace the phone's last known location to the vicinity of the Clarion Inn on South College Street. This pinpointed area, just minutes from the Chevron, became a critical focus. The gap between her last text at 11:40 p.m. and her phone going dark at 11:47 p.m. is a terrifyingly short 7-minute window. What could have happened in such a brief period to cause her phone to be powered off or die, and for Aniah to vanish? This narrow time frame is filled with terrifying possibilities and unanswered questions that continue to haunt investigators and those who followed the case. The sudden silence from a young woman who was just moments from home was the first chilling sign that something had gone terribly wrong. The next morning, October 24th, the alarm was officially raised. When Aniah didn't return home and failed to show up for her babysitting job, her family and roommate knew this wasn't just a case of a college student staying out late. This was a young woman with responsibilities and close connections, and her sudden lack of communication was deeply out of character. They reported her missing to the Auburn Police Department, initiating an urgent search. The call for help quickly extended beyond local law enforcement. Aniah's stepfather, Walt Harris, a prominent figure in the UFC, used his platform and social media to plead for information on Aniah's whereabouts. His heartfelt appeals brought immediate and widespread national attention to the case, highlighting the human face of the missing person statistic and galvanizing support from across the country. The search effort was massive and rapidly escalated. By October 30th, a dedicated task force was formed, comprising nearly a dozen law enforcement agencies, including the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, and the Alabama Department of Forensic Sciences. Ground searches were conducted across vast areas. Investigators followed every lead, and the community plastered missing person flyers everywhere. The hope of finding Aniah safe fueled these tireless efforts, but as days turned into weeks, the fear for her safety grew more profound. Aniah's parents, both birth and step-parents, were united in their desperate search, sharing their anguish publicly and privately, praying for their daughter's safe return. Aniah Blanchard described the feeling as surreal, devastating him, saying it doesn't feel real for a human being to be talked to 1 minute and vanish the next. Just 2 days after Aniah was reported missing, a critical and grim piece of evidence emerged, significantly changing the direction of the investigation. Aniah's black 2017 Honda CR-V was discovered abandoned at an apartment complex in Montgomery, approximately 55 to 60 miles west of Auburn. The vehicle itself told a disturbing story. It had visible dents and scratches on the right bumper and passenger door that were not present before Aniah's disappearance, suggesting a violent struggle or collision had occurred. But the most chilling discoveries were inside the car. Forensic investigators found a significant amount of blood in the front passenger seat. This blood was later confirmed by the Alabama Department of Forensic Sciences to be Aniah's, and the quantity found was described as being indicative of someone suffering a life-threatening injury. In addition to the blood, a bullet hole was found in the passenger side door, and shell casings were recovered from a cup holder. Further compounding the disturbing scene, investigators reported an odor of cleaning solution in the vehicle, strongly suggesting that someone had attempted to clean up the evidence and conceal what had happened inside the car. What brutal events transpired within that car to cause such damage and leave behind such horrific evidence, and who would go to such lengths to try and conceal it, abandoning the vehicle so far from where Aniah was last seen? The discovery of the car and the evidence within it eliminated the possibility of Aniah simply leaving on her own and confirmed the family's deepest fears of foul play. The investigation intensified, with law enforcement focusing on identifying any individuals who might have been with Aniah at the Chevron gas station. Reviewing the surveillance footage from the store became paramount. Within weeks, the Auburn Police Department released an image from the surveillance video of a person of interest, a man seen in the store at the same time as Aniah. The following day, that person was identified as 29-year-old Ibraheem Yazeed of Montgomery. Further analysis of surveillance video from another gas station reportedly captured Yazeed exiting and then re-entering the passenger side of Aniah's vehicle before the car drove away. Crucially, court records and witness accounts added a terrifying layer to this encounter. An affidavit charging Yazeed states that a witness allegedly observed Yazeed interacting with Blanchard near her vehicle outside the Chevron store and then saw him force her into her car before leaving with her in the vehicle. This witness reportedly told a companion about what he saw at the time, but was advised to mind his own business. The revelation of Ibraheem Yazeed's identity and his alleged actions sent shockwaves through the community, but perhaps nothing was as unsettling as the discovery of his criminal history and legal status at the time of Aniah's disappearance. Yazeed was out on a substantial bond of $295,000, having been charged with serious crimes in January 2019, including kidnapping, attempted murder, robbery, and possession of marijuana. These charges stemmed from an incident where two men were robbed and beaten in a Montgomery hotel, with one victim reportedly left unconscious, unresponsive, severely injured, and near death. Yazeed was also accused of attempting to kill police officers in a separate incident years prior. The fact that an individual with such a history of violence was free on bond when Aniah vanished fueled immense public outrage and ignited a crucial conversation about the effectiveness of the bail system in Alabama. Given his documented history of violent offenses, should Ibraheem Yazeed have been free that night? This question became a driving force for systemic change. Based on the mounting evidence, an arrest warrant for first-degree kidnapping was issued for Ibraheem Yazeed. A tip led authorities to Pensacola, Florida, where the U.S. Marshals Service located him near an interstate exit. After a brief attempt to flee on foot, Yazeed was apprehended and taken into custody. His bond for the prior charges was subsequently revoked. Yazeed was extradited back to Alabama to face the charges in Aniah's disappearance. In the days and weeks following Yazeed's arrest, 2 other men were also taken into custody in connection with the case. Antwain Squirmy Fisher was charged with first-degree kidnapping, accused of aiding Yazeed by providing transportation and disposing of evidence. David Johnson Jr. was charged with hindering prosecution. However, charges against both Fisher and Johnson Jr. were later dismissed by the district attorney's office. The district attorney stated that while Fisher provided information to investigators, his conduct did not rise to the level of accomplice liability required under Alabama law. Court documents later revealed details of Fisher's alleged statements to investigators, including a disturbing claim that Yazeed admitted to shooting a girl and stated that she went for the gun. Fisher also allegedly described seeing Yazeed dragging what appeared to be 2 legs wrapped in a comforter near a cemetery off I-85. While the charges against them were dismissed, what do Fisher's alleged statements reveal about the horrific events that may have unfolded after Aniah was taken? And are there still unanswered questions about whether anyone else was involved in any capacity? Then came the news that confirmed the fears of a nation and brought unimaginable sorrow to Aniah's family. On November 25, 2019, about a month after she was reported missing, human remains were discovered in a wooded area off County Road 2 in Macon County. 2 days later, on November 27th, the remains were positively identified as Aniah Blanchard. The medical examiner's report determined that the cause of Aniah's death was a gunshot wound. Following this heartbreaking confirmation, and based on the evidence gathered, the charges against Ibraheem Yazeed were officially upgraded from first-degree kidnapping to capital murder. A grand jury later indicted him on 3 counts of capital murder: 1 count for committing murder during a kidnapping in the first degree, 1 count for committing murder during a robbery in the first degree, and 1 count for committing murder involving a victim in a vehicle. The indictment alleges that Yazeed intentionally caused Aniah's death by shooting her with a gun during the course of abducting her and robbing her of her vehicle and cell phone, and that he intentionally caused her death while she was inside her vehicle. Due to the nature of these charges, prosecutors have stated they will seek the death penalty against Ibraheem Yazeed. He pleaded not guilty to all charges in March 2023 and is currently being held without bond in the Lee County Detention Center, awaiting trial. The murder of Aniah Blanchard sent shockwaves not only through her local community, but across the entire state and beyond. Her tragic death, particularly the detail that the accused killer was out on bond for other violent offenses, ignited a powerful movement for legislative change. Aniah's family, demonstrating incredible strength and determination in the face of unimaginable grief, became tireless advocates for reform in Alabama's bail system. Their efforts led to the creation and passage of what is now known as Aniah's Law. This constitutional amendment, which was overwhelmingly approved by Alabama voters in November 2022, significantly expands the list of serious felony offenses for which a judge can deny bail, moving beyond just capital murder to include crimes like first-degree murder, kidnapping, rape, robbery, and domestic violence. Aniah's Law is a direct and impactful legacy of her case, aimed at preventing future tragedies by allowing judges more discretion to keep dangerous individuals in custody while awaiting trial. Aniah's family continues to honor her memory and work towards a more just and safer world through various initiatives. They founded the Aniah's Heart non-profit organization, which is dedicated to the preservation of life through prevention, awareness, and empowering the vulnerable. Aniah's Heart provides self-defense classes, advocates for victims' rights and their families, and works tirelessly on social media to share stories of missing persons in Alabama and across the country, hoping to bring others home and spare families the pain they have endured. A scholarship has also been established in Aniah's name at Homewood Public Schools, ensuring her passion for early childhood education will continue to benefit future generations. For Aniah's family, the journey for justice is far from over. While an arrest has been made and important legal changes have been enacted, the wait for Ibraheem Yazeed's trial continues. The gears of the criminal justice system often turn slowly, a process that can be agonizing for grieving families. Aniah's father, Elijah, has spoken openly about this frustration, acknowledging the need for thoroughness in the legal process, but also expressing the profound difficulty of waiting for accountability for the loss of his daughter. He believes the abduction was strategically planned, perhaps not specifically for Aniah, but for someone suggesting a predatory pattern. This thought, along with the unknown details of her final moments, whether she was scared, how she fought back, constantly weighs on him. He undergoes therapy, struggling with the inconsistency of grief that attacks him from all sides: health, spiritual, and personal. Days like Aniah's birthday and the anniversary of her disappearance are particularly difficult reminders of the life and experiences they will never share. The case of Aniah Blanchard is a heartbreaking example of a young life tragically cut short by senseless violence, highlighting the devastating consequences for victims and their families. It's a story of loss, but also of incredible resilience and determination to create positive change in the face of unimaginable pain. While an arrest has been made and important legal changes have been enacted through the tireless efforts of her family, the journey for full justice in the court system continues as Ibraheem Yazeed awaits trial. What are your thoughts on the Aniah Blanchard case, the evidence presented, and the impact of Aniah's law? Do you believe justice for Aniah is within reach with the pending trial? Share your respectful opinions and insights in the comments below. If Aniah's story impacted you, please give this video a like to help honor her memory and raise awareness of this case. Subscribe to Murk Files for more in-depth true crime stories and investigations, and make sure to hit the notification bell so you don't miss our future uploads. Sharing this video helps spread awareness of these cases and supports the ongoing pursuit of justice for victims like Aniah. We have covered many other compelling cases on Murk Files that you might find equally significant. Explore our channel to learn more about these stories and the ongoing efforts to bring closure to families affected by crime. You can also click on the videos and playlist appearing on your screen now to watch more Murk Files cases. Stay curious, stay safe,